I didn't know how it could get any better than this, but holy hell. Mega Man is a series that I've been meaning to learn about, so when Pyre sent me this video, it was basically perfect timing. Apparently, this one is going to be about the main villain for the Mega Man series. I don't exactly know what the tone of Mega Man is, but I guess we'll learn about it in this video. Of course, this video is part of our official partnership with the Designing For channel, so please make sure to go support Designing For. Link to all of that is going to be at the very top of the description, as always. And quick note before we get into the video, I apologize if I sound a little bit weird. I just took out my braces recently, and now I'm wearing my retainers, so it just feels really weird to talk. I don't know if I sound right when I speak. I'll have to look at it in the recording later. But hopefully I get used to this. God, it's just, like, I could probably do a pretty convincing actually sort of voice right now if I really tried to.
Now the world
I know.
is mine.
Oh my.
Of
The fact that he's a scientist and he goes into this like egg-shaped vehicle too just really reminds me of Dr. Eggman. Although I wonder who came first. I'm not very versed at all in the Mega Man lore or the history, so I don't know when the games came out. I've just seen them in passing. The art style looks very cute though.
many great villains who defined early gaming, perhaps none were quite as persistent as the nefarious Dr. Wily. Between his first appearance
Wait. Who do we just kick out? I have no idea who that is. Maybe a different Mega Man villain?
Between his first appearance in 1987 and Mega Man and Base's release
Damn, that's
11
a long
years
time
later,
ago.
Wily appeared as the main villain of 9 mainline Mega Man games, 5 Game Boy platformers, 2 fighting games, 2 Sega games that you only bring up if you're bored, 2 DOS games, a soccer game, and a racing game. And that isn't even counting the board game he got top billing in.
Oh my god, of course.
That is 20, at least semi-unique titles in 11 years where you directly fight against evil Einstein. An absolutely dizzying number that would make even Bowser envious. But the old-timer doesn't seem to get out as much these days, or even get discussed very often at all. That young up
That's unfortunate, and well, hey, there's actually a picture of the two of them hanging out with each other. It's pretty cool. Very similar characters, but yeah, I still don't know exactly what his whole deal is. I'm also very curious to know about like more modern Mega Man games. Do we have any? I don't feel like I've seen any, but maybe it's just because I haven't been looking at the right news channels. For the most part, whenever I do see a character from Mega Man, it's probably in some sort of crossover fighting game, like Marvel vs. Capcom. So yeah, I'm just not too sure where the current series is at, or how it's currently doing.
start, Dr. Robotnik has long since passed him as the premier mad scientist of gaming through sheer number of games. And because many of Wily's appearances came earlier on in the life cycle of gaming, he hasn't been explored quite as often or to the full scrutiny of some of his colleagues showing up more recently.
That is truly unfortunate, and there's plenty of series that fall prey to this. This sort of happened to one of my favorite manga ever, which was Claymore. Claymore is pretty similar to Berserk, but it's a female protagonist with a very different story. I guess maybe more akin to something like Attack on Titan. I won't go into more of it, just in case of spoilers. But being dark fantasy at the time when it released, the Japanese audience didn't really like it very much, despite it being animated by Studio Madhouse, and some of the animation from that old show is pretty freaking good. So they had to axe the ending. They came up with something anime original, and then they just left it there because, well, the Blu-ray sales just weren't really good. Now, this was during a time where anime just wasn't very popular over in the West, but later on, when Attack on Titan came on and anime started becoming more global, I feel like if Claymore had released during somewhere around that time or later, it would have had way more success, and we probably would have had a full adaptation of the manga. I'm still sitting here hoping for a remake, but it's unlikely. But yeah, if you're a fan of dark fantasy like Berserk or Attack on Titan, or really anything within the genre, I do highly recommend checking out Claymore. See if you like it. I think you will.
Heck, it's gotten so unfortunate that he's not even the most well-known and popular main villain of a Capcom franchise named Dr. Albert W. anymore.
Poor
Really?
performance indeed.
As
Wait,
an
that's
early
from
ambassador,
Resident Evil, right? Yeah. Why are there so many series that I don't know anything about? I think for Resident Evil, the one I know most about is... was it 7? As well as the one where Leon first shows up. 4, I think? Obviously, I know some of the waifus that come from that game, and I think it was Chris who was punching the boulder in 6? Yeah, maybe during October or something, I'll check out the series and the lore behind Resident Evil.
of games, Wily may have been great, but his shine has long since faded. And that's truly a shame, because Wily is one of the absolute best villains at supporting his franchise. I can't think of an individual character, even Mega Man himself, more important to the core themes of the entire Mega Man brand than Dr. Wily. More than jumping and shooting, more than seeing how much of Astro Boy they could slightly change to make their own franchise.
Yeah, okay, Astro Boy I do know of. Because I grew up here in Thailand, the cartoons and anime and stuff that we really enjoyed back during like my early days was vastly different from anything the Western culture kids were growing up with. I do recall seeing like Astro Boy, seeing Doraemon, seeing Ultraman, if any of you guys know that. Those were some of the super popular anime over here. But then, of course, when I moved over to the States, everybody was talking about Ben 10, and I guess I just didn't really get into it as a kid, so I ended up alone. Kids can be pretty harsh, man. If you don't watch the same cartoons as the other kids do, they will make fun of you for it.
More than stories of self-actualization and what it means to fight for everlasting peace, Dr. Wily has carried the Mega Man brand on his geriatric shoulders to represent its heart. He's not just the core struggle of the franchise, he shows both all the good and all of the bad that can come from progress. All of the creativity, care, and evolution that it can promise combined with its destructive potential. He could be the greatest force of practical good that the Rockman universe could ever encounter. And yet, it's his entirely human failings that he chooses to be known for. Wily is a far finer villain than should be allowed for with the limited storytelling tools of his time. A creative launchpad for the franchise that gets destroyed, defined, and delighted in through his utter megalomania.
I'll be the only one who can rebuild the world. Mankind will beg me to take over, and the best part, the very best part is I have finally gotten the best of Dr. Light.
Albert W.
man.
Wily.
Is it going to be surprising if I say I love these kind of characters? Like, my VTuber model is literally a mad scientist. There's just something about these sort of mad scientist characters that I really connect with. They're hilarious, and they're living life to their fullest, regardless of what anybody thinks, and hey, I think that's pretty cool.
Was an absolutely brilliant inventor, striving to see robots
Is that a
not
dog
merely as
projector?
tools, but as a future to surpass humanity. Wily spent his days at the Robot Institute of Technology, attempting to push robots beyond any limits humans could imagine. However, his desire for
Skynet?
unstoppable power and speed, though initially coming from a place of sincere adoration, was seen as a danger to humankind if left unchecked, and was constantly challenged and kept from advancing by Wily's classmate and friend, Thomas Light.
Gotcha. So, is Thomas Light here sort of the scientist for good who works with Mega Man? Or is maybe like the person who helped create Mega Man in the first place to stop Dr. Wily? I'm just trying to guess the dynamic here, because Light here was mentioned earlier.
Light's own research into achieving robots with independent thought was clearly favored and supported by the RIT. And though Wily was far too brilliant to not achieve some level of success, his more dangerous inventions never received half of the praise that Light's would. LIT Manual Contest Design, Golden Prize in the World Engineering Award, the Nobel Prize in Physics, Nothing was outside of Light's reach, and everything was outside of Wily's. Decades
That
passed,
sucks.
and after coming in, at best, second place again and again to the now
No.
Dr. Light, Wily retreated,
Man.
vanishing from the world stage.
I don't blame him.
secret, he constructed a massive robot factory in an isolated part of the Pacific Ocean, plotting
do.
and waiting for the right moment to make his mark and show the true power and potential that his robots could provide. And as Light's plan to make robots with independent thought came to fruition with the first series of Robot Masters, Wily had his opportunity. On May 25th,
Robot Masters.
2000X, Wily stole Light's 6 industrial robots, reprogramming them to use their powers meant to supply and help mankind for combat. Took over Light's Sniper Joe series of robots to further his combat prowess, and used the army he had been building for years, in tandem with Light's own creations, made as powerful as Wily truly believed robots should be, to take over the world.
Those are some pretty creative names that we just saw there. This is a pretty crazy concept. Like, we're giving robots individual thought and, I guess, life, if you could call it that. I'm sure the series at some point has to delve into the whole, like, are you actually alive if you're a robot who can think for themselves? Or maybe not. You know, it's sort of just a kid's game, right? We're not going into some, like, eldritch horror curvy lore stuff right now, right? Considering our track record, though, I should likely expect something incredibly crazy to happen, or some, like, insane lore reveal later on in the video.
And he would have gotten away with it too, if not for Light's meddling kid. Rock, a helper robot deemed too inconsequential to
Helper
remodel.
robot.
Using the will that Dr. Light gave him to fight for what's right. Rebuilt as the super fighting robot,
Mega
Mega
Man?
Man, to save the
Gotcha.
world. Or if you prefer the cool 80s American version, Dr. Wily is scheming evil incarnate, who's been experimenting on humans for years to create robotic humanoid super beings in the land
Skynet
of
is real.
Monstropolis. After revealing his true intentions, Wily reprograms Light's 6 greatest creations, making them leaders of robot empires to extend his control. Only Mega Man, chosen protector of the human race, is able to resist Wily's reprogramming and infiltrates the 7 sovereignties of
Monstropolis.
single-handedly, taking out the Robot Masters one by one, until he can depose the Mad Doctor himself and save all of humanity from obsolescence at his hands.
Please tell me that's the actual, like, story summary for the American version of the game. It is kind of crazy how much they changed there from the localization, if that is actually the case.
This
You
is
kinda
no
got rid
bearing
of a
on
lot of
future canon,
nuance.
but like, it's so funny. Like, God, the 80s, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's actually real. I had to pause and read some of this. Also, I'm glad that you're having fun, Editor-san.
Mega Man would ultimately go on to defeat Dr. Wily, who would apologize for his evil ways and promise that he'd never, ever do it again for at least a year. So on June
At least
9th of
a
the
year.
following year, Wily reveals his rehabilitation has actually involved developing 8 combat robots that could far outstrip Mega Man, and challenges
Nice.
the Blue Bomber to dare stop him again. Which he does. And Wily has to apologize again
Oh
and
my
promise that
goodness.
he'll never, ever do it again.
Okay, now, once again, we're going into the question of, would the universe be better off without Dr. Wily in it? I know we're supposed to be the good guys, and completely removing somebody is kind of a big no-no, but, like, maybe? Just this once, it might solve a lot of problems.
Mega Man 3 sees Wily trying to take steps to actually improve himself, agreeing to help
Nice.
Dr. Light fulfill his dream of creating a giant
Oh.
defender robot, Gamma. Co-developed
Okay, how is this going to go wrong? How is Wily going to slip in some sort of code to make this Gamma robot go completely bonkers? But that's really unfortunate, you know, because like, if Dr. Wily actually did work with Dr. Light here, I think they could create some really incredible things. Like, Wily is clearly very competent with his inventions. They do work and they're not failures, they just get beat out by Mega Man. At least I'm assuming. So if he channeled his genius for the power of goodness in this world, things could go really, really well for everybody.
Developing a new series of robot masters to explore distant planets, to find powerful energy cores to fuel Gamma for everlasting peace. It goes really well.
Mission complete.
Until all of the robots suddenly and suspiciously turn evil and Mega Man has to stop them, letting Wily steal all the energy cores for himself, take over Gamma, and get beaten by Mega Man again.
Mission failed.
But this time, instead of lying, Dr. Wily tries out dying, perishing in a freak accident in the middle of his fake apology. Mega Man 4 sees a new evil mastermind, Dr. Cossack, attempting to
Wait a minute. Okay, for some context, there is a channel member who often leaves comments under our videos that uses this guy as his profile picture, which is why I had to do a double take. Is that you, Barry? I never knew this guy came from Mega Man. I thought it was just like a original art for a mad scientist character. Well, hey, the more you know.
To overthrow Mega Man after Wily's death. But surprise! Wily was actually alive the whole time, was blackmailing Cossack by holding his daughter hostage, reveals that after Mega Man beats Cossack and gets beaten again and apologizes.
Oh my goodness.
Again. But Mega Man 5, he framed somebody else. More revealing it was I, Wily.
Apologize.
Again. But Mega Man 6, don't worry, he doesn't even blackmail anyone. He just grows a beard and puts on sunglasses and is like, oh, hey guys, I'm Mr. X. What if we all just made a bunch of really strong fighting robots?
Yeah.
Just because.
Just for fun.
And of course, that sounds like a great idea for the Tech Elite. So they make another series of robot masters for Mega Man to beat, and you get the point.
Yeah. I am amazed at how many times we've been able to retrace our steps with the story for each and every single game. Although maybe the story just isn't really a focus when it comes to Mega Man games, it's more so just the platforming gameplay that made the games popular. But I wonder if we ever reach a point where things become a lot more nuanced and Dr. Wily finds a different way to go about doing things. Heck, we've seen character development for Dr. Eggman, so maybe?
Wily is comically stubborn as a foil to Mega Man, going from a schemer hell-bent on revenge to a goofy bad guy using Looney Tunes disguises to trick people into making him more killer robots because he's a little strapped for cash after 5 failures. Wily is a goof that no player could possibly take seriously after doing the same song and dance with him 6 times over, year after year. Which only belays just how effective and threatening of a villain Wily truly is. In spite of his annual failings, Wily is never presented as incompetent or unthreatening, never dismissed out of hand by Rock or Light. Instead, Wily's repeated and constant attacks on the world at large are seen as a testament to his incredible resourcefulness and cunning.
Exactly. Like, his robots actually work. They just get defeated by Mega Man, is all. We don't have a Dr. Neo Cortex situation here. Wily is actually a scientist, and a brilliant one at that. He just simply believes in something different from everyone else. And, you know, maybe he wants to take control of the entire world, but we all have those sort of thoughts at some point in our lives.
Creations like the Yellow Devil and Copy Robot are technical marvels for the Mega Man world. A shape memory alloy monster with a body impervious to harm, and a 3D copy protocol that can mimic even Dr. Light's most complex design in an instant. After merely reprogramming Light's robots in the first game, seeing the technology of the Robot Masters up close just once Wily is able to replicate and improve upon it. Mostly 8 times in under a year. He made a solid light hologram of himself that turns into an alien just to prove to Mega Man that he was a superior life form. And this was an insurance policy just in case the giant death fortress with the robot dragon and the muscle tank didn't work out. In the same time span, Light
How do you
made
come up with these ideas?
item 2? Got halfway to making a robot dog? Wily's drive and ego are fueled by his ambition, and he's truly threatening because he is just as great of a scientific mind as he believes himself to be. The only thing that holds him back are his pride, his envy, and ironically, his humanity. From the moment
Wow. Dang. Isn't it ironic that the guy who makes all these killer robots loses because he is human? Inherently, that's something that he can't get rid of. I mean, as long as he wishes to remain himself, that is. But I wonder if there's any actual lore reason as to why Dr. Light creates technology in such a slower pace than Dr. Wily does. Maybe it's because he has a much more careful process, making sure that everything is in the right order before going through with things and thoroughly testing them. Whereas Wily maybe just throws things at the wall, creates whatever needs to be created, and has a very large ambition to rule the world. So, like, he's not going to wait for any clearances or regulations or anything like that. Either that, or maybe Wily is just downright smarter than Dr. Light. But Dr. Light just has a better way of going about things.
he became a scientist, Wily could only compare himself to Thomas Light, never understanding why he wasn't good enough, what he did wrong, why no one could see the path forward that he intended to carve. It is Wily's ultimate human failing, his refusal to compromise, open up, and work with others that keeps him forever shackled to an existence of constant defeat.
Self-reflection is very important. It is very easy to see the fault in everyone around you. It is very difficult to see your own.
Silence! My plans have only just begun, you fool! And I won't stop until I see both of you kneeling before me in utter defeat!
And yet,
Single-minded
Wily
goal.
has a bond with robots that somehow goes beyond what Light is capable of. Before creating Mega Man, Dr. Light had a first draft of his independently thinking robot, a first son, Proto Man. However,
Proto-Man,
the
like Prototype?
environmentally friendly solar energy reactor Proto Man was developed with was unstable, making his body frailer than his build should allow for and threatening his life.
Oof.
While Light intended to fix this mistake, Proto Man feared that the Doctor intended to change his sense of self, reprogramming him entirely.
Oh no. Yeah, okay. We are delving into that whole are you alive, are you a robot, what makes you you sort of thing. I completely understand Proto Man's fear here. If I was in his position, I'd be worried too.
Feeling betrayed, fled for his life. Light assumed Proto Man dead, but used the data he collected to improve on his design. Proto's
Make
body
Mega Man.
used as a basis for the Sniper Joe series of robots, and his personality and core tweaked to become Rock. Alone, Proto Man wandered the world until his leaking, depleted energy failed him, almost certainly facing death.
Did Dr. Wily come by?
Until he was found
Yeah.
by the still in hiding Dr. Wily. Wily replaced Proto Man's malfunctioning solar core with a far more powerful nuclear reactor, granted him an arm cannon for combat proficiency, and even created a shield to compensate for Blues' pitiful stamina. Before even Mega Man was created as a basis, Wily was capable of forging a super fighting robot that put all others made before him to shame. And through his sincere desire to make robots the best he possibly could, connected and bonded with Proto Man. Light's first son would take up the fight against his creator, loyal to Dr. Wily and resentful of the Blue Bomber and Sniper Joes created to replace him.
That accursed Light, allowing another unfinished robot.
until eventually,
Voice
through
sounds
their
familiar,
fights,
actually.
Mega Man's own care and love broke through, and Wily proved his selfishness and egomania like a dozen times over.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to hide that when you lose over and over and over with the same plan while shouting at the world that you're gonna control everything and take over. Eventually, Proto Man's gonna see the signs. And of course, the power of friendship wins at the end of the day, but before then, the struggle and fight between Proto Man and Mega Man was kind of tragic. In a way, it's like seeing the sons still carrying the weight of this grudge between two fathers and continuing to battle it out. Although, I don't think Dr. Light really has a grudge against Dr. Wily, but it's pretty much the same situation there.
Of course, Wily is really bad at keeping his poker face for more than like a couple weeks at a time.
It's always been on my mind. What it means to be born with weapons in our hands.
Damn.
I haven't found the answer yet, but with the powers you've given me, I will crush your villainy.
And this
Jesus, that line actually hit pretty hard. Isn't it tragic though? Like, yeah, they were literally born with weapons in their hands. Like, what other purpose would that have apart from hurting people? I suppose it's really about what you use it for and what you choose to use it for. I really hope to see more of this though. This exploration of these robots who gained independent thought, attempting to really figure out where they fit into the world. Because there's plenty of media out there with similar stories, but the reason for that is because it's such a good way to help us as humans understand ourselves. Because ultimately, it simplifies the process of like what a human is as they slowly try to learn that. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in a previous Designing for reaction, but this sort of story reminds me of Violet Evergarden. It's not exactly that, but it's still in a similar direction. And if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend it.
interesting relationship with robots would continue past this simple encounter. Mega Man 9 shows Wily performing his most evil scheme yet. Inspirational speaking.
Oh my god.
He talks to a bunch of Light's robots and reveals that they're scheduled for demolition soon. Their planned obsolescence, meaning they simply won't have a purpose anymore other than to be scrap. Rather than discard them, Wily is glad to improve them and reprogram them to wreck up the world so he can frame Dr. Light and trick people into sending money to his Swiss bank account.
Oh
Mega
my
Man
goodness.
10 sees Wily
Of course
attacked
it
by
worked.
robots afflicted with the Roboenza virus, which is a two-strain virus that causes robots to either become debilitatingly sick like a human, or just attack indiscriminately so that Mega Man has some dudes to fight. After being rescued by Mega Man and agreeing to help Dr. Light research a cure, Wily goes, "Surprise! It was me who caused the global robot pandemic. I invented robot sickness in a world where it didn't exist before. And if you want the cure, you'll have to become a Wily robot." Waiting until Mega Man himself caught the virus before springing into action. But then Mega Man's family gives him a bit of their sample cure and Wily loses again. But not before
This poor
revealing
guy.
that he's horribly ill himself.
Oh
It's
no.
not shown whether Wily was somehow infected by the Roboenza virus, though he does
Wait a
insist
minute.
it's just the flu if you're not into the theory of Wily roboticizing himself in secret.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. Because I had mentioned earlier that it is something inherently that he can't get rid of, his human side, but like, for a guy who makes robots all day, what if, you know? What if he puts some mechanical parts into himself? I don't think it would be out of the question, but this doesn't seem to be where the story is going. I do think it's simply just a virus, or some sort of flu, or something like that.
Mega Man takes the ailing madman to a hospital and saves his life. And
What
out
a good
of
boy.
gratitude and grappling with his own mortality, Wily silently escapes, leaving
Really?
behind the Roboenza cure in bulk to cure all of the robots he'd infected. Mega Man 11
she
sees
did a good
Wily
thing.
looking back toward the original innovation that drove him down his dark path, the double gear system. Utilizing technology that he made like 50 years ago to push robots beyond their perceived limits. His ideas proving to be literal decades, if not centuries, in the future. It's only because Light held on to the original Double Gear prototype. His hope that Wily would come back and they would find a humane way to merge Wily's ideas with his own. That Mega Man was able to...
That's what I've been saying. If they actually did join forces, I think it would be awesome. Things would move in the world. People would flourish. But, it's sort of a what-if situation. Wily's... the way that he is makes it so that this situation would probably never happen.
Overcome the Mad Doctor's plot and counter his insane superhuman gambit taken from his own self-experimentation.
Time for Plan B!
Wow, that was epic.
This old man!
In all of his later appearances, Wily proves his incredible ability. He dives into his past of helping and improving robots. He actively pushes robotics forward in a way unimaginable previously through sheer force of will, correcting the wrongs of planned obsolescence and improving robotic efficiency to unheard of levels. From the moment that Wily repaired Proto Man to the moment that Light improved Mega Man using Wily's tech, Wily has been taking Light's designs and aspirations and upgrading them, an outside perspective bettering all of mankind and robot kind to create more complete, more able, more human mechanical beings. Light even recognizes this, telling Wily that Mega Man is the culmination of both of their work, that both of them, in their own way, have pushed Mega Man to be a beautiful, unique creation that embodies both of their dreams.
Look at Mega Man and tell me what you see. Mega Man wields tremendous power, but he has the intelligence to use it wisely. He's your vision and mine combined. If our ideas, our gears could mesh together, Mega Man would be the result. We achieved this together. It's not too late, Albert. Atone for your crimes and join me again.
Dude, this is beautiful. It's like they're together, child. Well, honestly, even without the gear technology being put into Mega Man, just the fact that Mega Man has to learn how to overcome all these challenges that Dr. Wily puts for him, all these things help Mega Man grow to become the person that he is. It's just such a unique and interesting relationship that we have between our main character, our hero, and our villain, which I don't think I've seen before in any other series.
But Wily just can't see it.
Yeah.
Decades of envy, years of failure, dozens of battles have taken their toll.
Too far
and unless
gone.
he can be credited on his own, his genius, his philosophy rising above all others, he'll never rest.
Sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I think this is just true for people in general, too. Like, when you're younger, you're a lot more open-minded, but once you start to solidify your preconceptions of the world around you, then that is sort of the process that creates your identity and what you believe in, and therefore it becomes a lot more difficult to completely rework the way that you think about things. It also doesn't help that the way most people approach discussion is they will fight and defend whatever position that they've reasoned themselves into, and no matter what you do or say or provide as evidence, they will not budge, because it's not about them being wrong. It becomes a discussion about you attacking them and their beliefs, which isn't really the point, but that's just how people see it. So what can you do if the person that you're trying to have a conversation with won't budge or anything? Well, then that's where the civilities stop and the only thing that remains is conflict. And for Dr. Wily, who has been going through this for several years now and having all this resentment build up inside of him, I don't know if there is going to be a way that he can even change or improve. Not unless something incredibly drastic happens, but I don't think we have anybody who's like close to Dr. Wily. So it can't be like a family member in some sort of situation. And if it's related to him, I think he'll just grovel and beg and apologize and then do it all over again. That's sort of his MO.
Wily isn't a being of pure evil or malice. He doesn't want to destroy the world. He just wants to be acknowledged on his own as the greatest.
That's
and
where
will
it
take
begins,
whatever
yeah.
measures necessary to do so. And 3 creations, one within his lifetime, one far past it, and one beyond his world, would prove that without a shadow of a doubt. At the beginning of Mega Man 7, Rock is ambushed by a new robot. Possessing all of Mega Man's natural abilities, this mysterious newcomer isn't here to destroy Mega Man, merely to test if Rock can stand up to Dr. Wily's forces as the mad scientist succeeds in his last escape from jail. This would prove to be a rival that Mega Man couldn't win over through heart alone. This was a being whose one purpose was to test and surpass the one robot that had never been overcome before. This was Bass.
Bass? Hey, that's a cool name.
Your history!
Developed in secret before the events of Mega Man 6,
Oh, that's
Bass
cool.
was to be Wily's greatest project yet. Studying
Oh,
Proto
but
Man's
you would have
blueprints,
the
Wily was
doggo,
ready
too.
to create a robot to match Dr. Light's golden child, pound for pound. Carrying the same variable weapon system installed in Mega, able to bond with and utilize a robot wolf, arm cannon equipped with a chargeable shot, Bass is more than just a Mega Man knockoff. He's the whole enchilada. But Bass didn't stop there. In tinkering with his finest creation, Dr. Wily accidentally stumbled upon a new scientific energy source, Fortanium, which I'm
Oh
calling
my
by its
God.
Japanese name because it rolls off the tongue better than Bassnium. This new energy source seemed
that works
infinite,
better.
and with it, Bass would prove to be a weapon to surpass Mega Man. Because he can shoot diagonal!
Oh my god! Is that his whole thing? He can do everything that Mega Man can do, but he can also shoot diagonally. Truly revolutionary technology.
With all of this, Bass wasn't just programmed with one directive, he had a singular goal that he would stop at nothing to achieve. Defeat Mega Man and become the strongest robot in the world.
Good for you, buddy.
feigned being Mega Man's ally, pretending to lose a fight to Shade Man so he can be taken back for repairs at Light Labs, only to betray Dr. Light and steal the blueprints for the Rush Super Adapter. Wily would use this technology to enhance Bass to even greater heights, the culmination of Light's efforts in improving Mega Man with Wily's genius and power. And with all of that, becoming the greatest robot the world had ever known, Bass still lost. Wily had indeed succeeded in creating his own super fighting robot, molded in his own image, following his own philosophy to be the very best, and in spite of his awesome power and self-evident superiority, can never defeat his arch-rival. Bass would go on to use Wily, joining up with him when it gives him a shot to fight Mega Man easily, but actively against the Mad Doctor, especially when Wily would try to make robots to surpass Bass,
You'll pay for
Oh, hell no.
which Bass would then
Well, yeah. No kidding. You ended up making a robot that wants to be the strongest in the world, so if you're actively making something that's better, then obviously that robot is not going to be very happy with you. This whole idea is going to backfire on you super easily, and it did. But I also kind of feel bad for Bass, though. Like, does he know anything apart from just trying to beat Mega Man? Although I suppose robots created by Dr. Wily aren't as independently thinking as ones made by Dr. Light, I would assume. So yeah, this is just his programming, and he's just gonna do this for the rest of time.
beat, and Wily would go, "No, I was just testing you. You're clearly the biggest and strongest,
Yeah,
Bass."
totally.
Wily had given a face to his own self-destruction, armed it, and lost control of it. But he always learns from defeat. Though he was growing old, his life running short, Wily would always think to the future. If he couldn't beat Light in his lifetime, he would create a robot that would define the future. A robot that even Light's finest creations would be envious of. A being without peer. A creation that would survive throughout centuries and serve as Wily's eternal living legacy.
I feel like I've seen this guy before. I don't know what he's called though.
If you really knew me, you'd be shaking in your boots right about now.
Wow. I wonder why I should know this guy's name. I can confirm that calling myself Zero was not inspired by this guy. The number itself is just a pretty cool thing in concept, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I feel a unique connection to this character on a level that I can't really describe that I have with Mega Man at all.
Combining the template of Proto Man, the originator of the Robot Master series, with the incredible energy and power of Base, Zero is the finest of Dr. Wily's creations. Wily forged Zero for two purposes. To get the absolute last laugh on his rival by sabotaging and destroying Dr. Light's final creation, X.
Hell yeah.
And to spread Wily's final instrument of destruction, a virus that would infect the minds of robots, turning them against the creeds that define them into hostile mavericks.
Dang.
Unfortunately, Zero would prove to be too powerful for Wily to handle, going berserk upon activation with an insatiable thirst for violence. A disappointed Wily sealed Zero away, along with the Maverick virus, passing away before his ambitions could come to fruition. Only hope.
Dr. Wily's dead in the current timeline? Really? Damn, that's unfortunate. I really didn't expect them to actually get rid of a character like that. I felt like it would be an eternal legacy kind of thing, but I guess not.
Hoping that the virus would calm Zero's temperament enough to fulfill his mission and show the genius of Wily for time immemorial. By the turn of the next century, Zero would indeed reawaken, striking down anyone who would approach, even grievously wounding Sigma, the greatest combat robot of his era. But the virus had changed Zero. After his initial rampage, Zero remained calm, distant, and with a strong sense of justice to aid humankind.
Yep,
which would be a good thing, as all of the virus that his pod was loaded up with started spreading across the world, and fast. Zero would quickly become his era's most distinguished Maverick Hunter, the new super fighting robot relied on to save the world, an inspiration that stood leagues above the Reploids that served underneath him. Reploids like Mega Man X.
Really?
Wily would be so proud. Furious beyond belief that they were friends, but proud. Zero evolved past anything Wily could possibly comprehend. For a robot invented a century earlier, Zero proved to be far more combat capable than decades of scientific progress could keep up with.
I mean, Wily was just that good. And honestly, I feel like I want to play Mega Man games now. This certainly doesn't have anything to do with the character that shares my name or anything like that. But yeah, it's just piqued my interest. I also find it somewhat refreshing that we're going down a different path now that Wily is sort of out of the story. Which, you know, it's unfortunate that he's not a part of it, but having a new formula apart from Wily creates robots and then loses and then apologizes is, it's just a breath of fresh air. Plus we have this super cool, awesome protagonist too.
Unlike X, constantly looking for upgrades to improve, Zero was ready built with all he would ever need, innovating new techniques as he defeated foes, and improving not just in the amount of powers he could pilfer off of others, but in knowledge and skill. And though his original programming remained, and if the absolute worst occurred and restarted his Prime Directive in full force, could revert him to a mere Mega Man killer, the potential Zero held was enough to overcome it. Wily's final two creations marked the tentpoles of his existence. In the Maverick virus, his wild, unchecked ambition and desire for revenge and destruction, the chaos of a madman who would see the world engulfed in robotic war if his name was the last thing that humanity ever cursed. But in Zero, all of the power, potential, and dreams he held to push robotics forward and let them not overtake humanity, but be an evolution of it. The entire 21XX era, on both sides of its greatest conflict, is defined by Wily's inventions. And it would ultimately be his creation that would end it. After decades of fighting, Zero donated his body for scientists to study the virus within him, keeping his mind in stasis, leading to the eradication of the Maverick virus once and for all. Hundreds of years later, Zero's consciousness would awaken again to a new threat, one that he would overcome even without X by his side, even managing to defeat his original body, upgraded and corrupted in the process.
Another soulless copy.
Zero would ultimately erase everything that Wily had left the world, his virus, his great robot, his hatred, and leave only the humanity Wily had accidentally fostered as his legacy. Zero transcended Wily's purpose for him and became something more fitting. For out of all the thousands of robots Wily would create, Zero was the only one Wily would ever refer to as my son.
Damn! Oh my god, I didn't know how it could get any better than this, but holy hell. Dr. Wily and his relationship with Mega Man was quite touching, in a weird, strange, villainous way. But with the introduction of Zero here, like, god damn, we've really fleshed out both of these characters. This is so freaking awesome, man. This is so cool. I love that we've taken these concepts and we've expanded upon them in pretty much the best way possible without tarnishing any of the previous legacy or like having a complete character shift. Like, this makes total sense, at least within the logic of the game universe, right? But yeah, apologies for not talking too much in this later section here. I was just sitting here smiling and just grinning. It's so cool. It's so fun. And it's even better that his name is Zero. I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of games I have to put off of my long list of games that I plan to stream, simply because I don't think I'm going to have the time to even get to them. Like, my current list is around 3 to 4 years long by this point. But maybe, just maybe, I got to put a Mega Man game in there. Or at the very least, any game that Zero's in. Like, is he in Marvel vs. Capcom? I don't know, but I have this massive urge to check out these games now. Oh, it's so good.
That is the epitome of Wily in the Mega Man series. Even at his highest point, proving his superiority as an inventor to Light. His ambitions are squashed by the moral core that Light embodies. But there is one more example of Wily's insatiable ego leading to incredible progress and fueling the Mega Man franchise. And it doesn't even happen within the games. You see, Wily's Robot Masters aren't actually designed by Dr. Wily. He would far rather take a group opinion on ways to properly squash that pesky Mega Man. The Boss Character Contest was a challenge sent out by Capcom to all of the aspiring character designers of the world, from children to professionals. Could you create a robot master that could trounce the Blue Bomber? And this event, of course, was hosted by Dr. Wily, the mad scientist personally thanking and rewarding those who went above and beyond in helping design Mega Man's doom.
Oh my goodness. This is so cool. I'm so glad that they did this. Like, for one, it just gives a platform for aspiring character designers to really show what they can do. But it also just fits so perfectly into the Mega Man universe because there's so many strange and unique designs for all these robots. Whoever came up with this idea deserves a raise.
Sure, you could get some special thanks with the meager feel-good Dr. Light prize for runners-up. But Dr. Wily would send you a golden cartridge of the game you helped create if you won his prize, the highest possible honor. Though only 8,370 submissions from Japan were collected for the inaugural contest in Mega Man 2. By the contest's peak around Mega Man 7, over 220,000 entries were collected from all over the world.
That's what I thought.
The contest would be reported on by Nintendo Power, inspire artists to contribute to their fandom, create hundreds upon thousands of fun little OC.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, having the company also be a part of the community and interacting with members who are just fans of the game is so vital for a game's longevity, I guess is the right word to use here. Keep people talking about your franchise, get them invested. Allow them to help you work on it, because there are so many people out there with so many great ideas. Why wouldn't you ask them for those ideas? Maybe it's just incredibly refreshing to me because, well, we've done a lot of Warhammer, both fantasy and 40k content here on the channel. And just seeing how GW treats Warhammer fans is so freaking sad compared to this contest here that allows fans of the Mega Man series to actually help build games, and you actually get rewarded for it. You are acknowledged by the company with a golden cartridge. That is one heck of a story to tell anybody who meets you. I don't really have any more words to describe how good this makes me feel, but I love this idea. I love everything that they've done with this.
In the hopes of stoking the flames of the fans. Heck, the teenage artist who made this guy ended up as the illustrator for another, much more famous man later in his career. For the amount of copies that the—
What? Oh my god. The legend himself. Okay, if I got this right, I don't read the One Punch Man manga, but I'm pretty sure Murata is the one who draws it, and the artwork there is incredible. It's fucking amazing. It's just such a cool connection that you allow this person to have a platform, and they made something cool and unique, and they went on to make even greater things. Yeah, I love everything about it. I'm not going to talk more about it. It's just so good, so cool. Oh, I don't know how else to express it.
His career. For the amount of copies that the games actually sold, Mega Man had an incredibly passionate fan base. The Blue Bomber properly recognized as the main face of Capcom, even as the likes of Ryu easily surpassed him in sales. And events like this, hosted by Dr. Wily, are a big reason why. In just trying to stand out and be appreciated more, Wily caused thousands to pay more and more attention to Mega Man, and the world's better for it. There are more interpretations of Wily worth praising. His Battle Network counterpart shows a Wily who's still devilishly devoted to his egocentricity, but he gets a human son and is able to lament how his obsession has damaged his son's upbringing, finding something in his lifetime worth reforming for. The Archie comics give a lot of nuance to Wily's struggles, especially when it comes to his relationship with Light, and even gives him some direct and humanizing contrast with fellow video game legend Dr. Eggman. The Ruby Spears cartoon is probably my favorite Hammy Scott McNeil performance. He's just so in love with being evil.
Submit to me.
We can't do that. It's slavery.
Sounds good to me.
But even within just the text of the...
Oh man, how can you not love the mad scientist characters? They're so awesome. When you can say stuff like that with a straight face, you know that you're ballin'.
main series itself, Dr. Wily proves himself to be a lot more than just an excuse to fight 8 more funny-looking robots. Mega Man is founded on strong scientific ideals and principles.
Yeah.
Wily embodying not a purely destructive force, but the idea of force, strength, and advancement being used as the right way to propel mankind forward. And though Light's philosophy
It's
of
simply a different
understanding,
perspective.
patience, and working with robots as partners does overcome Wily time and again, the series proves that Wily isn't inherently misguided. His advancements, his spirit, his unrelenting desire is something that the world needs. It draws others in, stimulates creativity, allows for continual innovation using different frameworks to make you better than you thought possible.
I didn't even clue in on that as well. That just the whole art contest and creating robots and new villains for Mega Man to fight also just ties into the theme of the game as a whole of progress and innovation. Once again, I say, whoever came up with that idea deserves a raise.
And when combined with Light's self-reflection, can create something beautiful to truly pave the path into the future. Wily is only a villain because he can't get over himself, and his self-obsessed quest to be proven the very best is the only thing that he can see gives him value. As the man himself says,
"He is my nemesis. Our rivalry is what gives me motivation in life."
Wily remains the motivating heart behind nearly the entire Mega Man franchise's conflicts, and the perfect showman of how to design for Megalomania.
Pyre, if you're watching this video is top notch. Definitely one of my favorites that I've seen from your channel. To be completely honest with you guys, I wasn't really too into the character yet. During like the first half of the video. For someone like me, you're obviously going to get extra points if you're a mad scientist villain. But once we got to the later half of the video and we introduced Zero as a character, carrying the legacy of Dr. Wily far into the future in such an incredible way that makes so much sense for the character without completely like retconning anything that had happened before. Developing him even after his death was like such a genius move, but not as genius as the company themselves going out and asking the fans for help with the design and what Dr. Wily represents for those fans. Every single aspect that was talked about in this video culminates into something that helps emphasize the core values of the game series, being this idea of progress and innovation and the good side and the not so good side of it. It really gives you this feeling of satisfaction when you see all of this connect back to one another. And ultimately, it all just works, which is much more than you can say about a lot of other game series, unfortunately. But yeah. Now I understand why Mega Man, despite not selling as well as a lot of these other games, is still so beloved and such like a cultural icon. And this video made me want to go out and play a Mega Man game. So I might just have to put a few Mega Man games on my list of games to stream. I'm not sure how I'd get to play any of them though. Are any of them on Steam or accessible via PC? Or do you have to buy a console? Oh, and if you've reached this part of the video, please do let me know what your experience with the Mega Man series is. I know a lot of you guys who, whenever we check out a new series, you were sort of there during the very beginning of it, and you've been a huge fan of it ever since then. I just love seeing people talk about the things that they love, so yeah. Please do let me know. I can't reply to every single comment, but I do read them. However, for now, that's going to be it from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.